have a confirmation of the agenda with an add-on for the town, for the municipality of of Morris Turnberry. There's an attachment for that. Do I have a mover? Anita, seconder, Rick, all in favor? Passes. Disclosure of pecuniary interest, none noted. Public comments. This is an opportunity for the members of the public to speak to any item of business on the agenda. It's 2 minutes per person. Would anybody in the audience like to speak to this? Anything on the agenda for tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on. I'm going to go to the consent agenda. Before I ask for a motion, I would like the councillors to pull out anything they'd like to pull out in 5.1, 5.2.1 to 5.2.4, I believe it is. Sorry, 5.3.5. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, it's just a question. It'll be through you to Donna. Through that, it's 5.2.3. It's regarding a tax supplement and a write-off.
Right.
I just needed to be explained. Like, I know MPAC can over assess, say, a property in East Wanash, and they appeal it and they win, and then all of a sudden we have to reimburse them, but they've already paid up, have they not? So why would it be a write-off?
Because we would have billed it out at the full amount. They may or may not have paid.
May or may not.
Yes,
Okay.
depending on if they knew they had filed their paperwork and had a, favorable, if they filed it in time and knew that it looked favorable, that they were going to win that appeal, that we would still have to write it off because the whole amount would have been billed. So we have pages and pages for 2018, both additions and write-offs. And this is the net effect in dollars of all of those.
Okay.
For 2018.
Okay.
Anybody like to pull anything else out? I'm going to pull out 5.3.2. This is concerning $532,076 from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. Got to be honest about this. There's a lot of stuff comes in on my email, and I usually just click and delete. 2 weeks ago, I was sitting in somebody's driveway waiting for them to come up in the line of work I do in my real life. And I was rather bored, and I opened this up. I believe it was from Mr. Clark, and there was $532,000 off. So I immediately sent it off to Dwayne and Donna, thinking it was maybe just a joke from somebody instead of deleting it. So I'm very happy I did that. I would like to point that out. That's all I have. Anyone else for anything on the consent agenda? Okay. Yep, go ahead.
Regarding the same points, this is really nice. I'm just wondering if we have this opportunity to maybe save some of it for next year, because it sounds like it's a one-timer, if it's at all possible.
Do you want to go ahead? Go ahead. We haven't found out the parameters of where we can and cannot use it. So until we do that, we're just not sure where we can or cannot use it. But yes, it's a big chunk and we're only going to get it once, so we want to spend it very wisely. Yes. Anything else? And I'd like to say that the Council Township of North Huron hereby received consent items 5.2.1 to 5.3.5 for information. Do I have a mover? Kevin and Paul seconds. Any questions? All in favor? Thank you very much. I'd just like to back up a bit. I would like to introduce the public and the councilors to Carson Lamb. Carson, stand up and take a bow. Carson's our new, he's our new clerk. And we have waited a long time for a clerk, and he's gonna be very busy, but we'll all work together. I'm sure Dwayne is happy to have a little help after all these months of not having a clerk. And don't become overwhelmed, young fella. Just take your time and work into it, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. Okay. Public meetings and hearings, staff service award presentations. We have some long-term staff members we'd like to recognize. So Denise is gonna call them up. Kevin Dunn.
Over there, this is really cluttered.
Kevin's been with us 5 years. Kevin, I can't believe you've been here 5 years. It sure passed in a hurry.
It has.
Seems like yes, giving you a heck. No, anyway.
Yeah.
You too, Dave? He's got taller since first I met him. Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Is Brandy Hutton here tonight? Seen her? He's been with us 10 years now. Rochelle Gary, don't see Rochelle. I know Rochelle. She's been with us 25 years. Julie Wharton, sorry, 25 years. Julie, are you here tonight? Julie Wheeler, are you here tonight? 30 years. 30 years, Julie, that's amazing. You must love your job. David Cook is here. Did I see David? David is 30 years too. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Could I get you to stand away from Blair?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you want one, Dave? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dave is needed away from this. Which David? Thank you.
You're over 20.
Congratulations, Dave. Just get ready for that. Yeah, wait.
Ellen Whalen from the Huron County Library. Your turn.
Is that presentation preloaded on here? Yeah. Okay, that's perfect. Well, it's warming up. I'm just doing the introductions today. So thank you for having us this evening. My name is Beth Rumble. I'm the County Librarian and Director of Cultural Services. And tonight with me, I have Krista Lennon, who is our Community Information Librarian, and also Paula Mackey, who is the branch manager at the Wingham branch here. Tonight, we hope to educate you on some of the work that the Huron County Library has been doing with our Community Hub project. As far as a bit of background on the project, in 2016, we started a pilot at the Bayfield Library exploring what community hubs could look like in Huron County. That was successful, and we secured resources to continue the project. So starting in 2018, we began the project county-wide, and Wingham, we decided, was going to be the first community. So they bravely led the way for us through the work of the staff locally here. And we are going to share what we found there. Because this is a new council from when the work was actually done at the beginning of 2018, we wanted to bring forward and share what we had learned through that work. So staff engaged through 10 community conversations and over 70 exercises with residents of the Wingham area, asking about their aspirations for the community, their main concerns, and specific issues that people would like to see addressed in Wingham. So based on that, I am going to pass it over to Paula, who is kind of the subject expert on the local information, and she can talk about what we have learned and what we are doing as a result of that.
Thank you. I'm going to read the Wingham Community Narrative. After all those questions, we put it into a document. The Wingham Narrative come on the screen. May 2018. So over 4 months, the library staff engaged community members in Wingham through over 70 street interviews and 10 community conversations. This document reflects the aspirations, main concerns, and specific issues that were shared by the participants. People wanted a friendly community, alive with opportunity and things to do. People also wanted to belong to a community where they know, trust, and care for their neighbor. However, they're concerned that there are divisions between existing groups and community information about events and assets is difficult to find, resulting in a lack of community participation and support. Concerning too is the reluctance of change and accept new ideas and challenges in coming together to work as community or stalling progress. As people talk about those concerns, they talk about being divided in pockets and cliques, and that there is no common source of community information about events. People also share that it was difficult to know how to get involved in the community, and that new ideas are met with red tape and roadblocks, and communication between leadership and citizenship could be improved. It was also shared that everyone was not aware of the many great services and opportunities there were in Wingham. They say we need to focus on clearly promoting community events, create opportunities to connect and meet with other community members, find ways to welcome newcomers, and increase community pride through promoting all the great things Wingham has to offer. People also say we need to focus on removing or assisting to understand red tape to make it easier to organize community events, supporting local businesses and community development, and opening spaces to work as a community. And if the library, Elsinore Library, Wingham BIA, North Huron Economic Development Committee, North Huron Council, and community leaders play a lead in those actions, folks will be more likely to trust and step forward. I'm just going to give a little bit more background about this document here. So as I mentioned, we had some conversations and we presented this document in an open community information sharing meeting in May 28, 2018. With 26 people attending, the community members were presented with the community narrative and supporting information and engaged in a discussion about the next steps. In answering the question, where could Wingham best get started, community members discussed continuing the work through the formation of Wingham Community Connector Group. Summary of the Elsinore Library's main community narrative initiative prepared May 2018. The Elsinore Library staff are working towards these shared aspirations with their community and engage friendly, undivided community where you know, trust, and care for your neighbors. The essence of the strategy is to develop a sense of community cohesion, belonging, and purpose by increasing connections through community events and social gatherings. Initially, Elsinore Library staff are going to work on creating a common source of community information and events through developing networks and links that connect various individuals, groups, organizations, and institutions together. The space we want to occupy in the community is connector and communicator. We think that we need all community groups to share event information and the municipality of North Huron to support the efforts. Initial pockets of action, we want to focus on the creation of a monthly communicator of community events and happenings, because it will encourage community members to participate in public life, make new connections, and bridge express social divides. Since developing this initial action plan, the Elsinore Library continues to host the Wingham Community Connectors Group in the library, supporting the Wingham Community Connectors Facebook group, which is up to this date, we have 228 members who can post information about community events, assets, and local services. Publish and distribute North Huron monthly calendar of events in partnership with the North Huron municipality in both print and electronic formats. In our e-newsletter, we have 74 subscribers, and on average, the Wingham Library prints out about 80 copies and hands out to the public, with numbers increasing by the month. So I just wanted to show you, I'm not sure if everybody's seen the North Huron and area events calendar that we publish, that you can get directly to your into your email. And you can also participate in it by giving us the information, and we share it with North Huron, which gets posted on their events calendar. So, is there any questions?
there any questions from the council? Comments? Paul, sorry.
As a counselor, how could a person get involved in
How could they get
that?
involved?
Like, say, community meetings or things like that?
Yes, that would be great. The Women Community Connectors Group, we still meet approximately once a month, and our goal is to have in 2020 a job fair. Volunteer job, not a job fair, a volunteer fair, so that all community members and local people can come and see what Wingham has in forms of groups or associations, so that they can join. But yes, we'd be happy for you to attend one of our meetings. And our next meeting coming up in April, Bill Beard will be there speaking about his projects.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I want to thank you very kindly for coming out. We appreciate the presentation, and you've got a new member, right, Paul?
Yeah.
We're going to go to reports next. 7.1.1 is planning consent agenda for the Jim Door severance. So we have consent agenda report C011-2019, owner James and Alexa Door, property description plan 410, part lots 457, 458, 465, 466, and part lane as 22R1413, parts 1 and 2, 75 Alfred Street West, Wingham Ward, Township of North Huron. Or are you going to speak to this?
Over here.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, and good evening, council. I'm here to present for consent application C11-2019 for the applicants and owners James and Alexa Door. This application is for the residential property at 75 Alfred Street West in Wingham. It's an application to create a vacant lot. There is an existing residence and shed on the proposed retained property. The area to be severed is approximately 740 square meters, and the area to be retained is approximately 2,956 square meters. The property is designated residential in the North Huron official plan and is currently zoned R2, residential medium density in the North Huron zoning bylaw. You can see here on the 2015 aerial photo, the subject property. The outlined portion in green is the proposed retained with the retained residence and shed, and the outlined portion in red is the proposed severed, and it's currently vacant and treed. During the circulation of this application, we received comments from North Huron staff for Public Works, and they stated they had no concerns with the proposed severance. Comments from the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority stated that the subject property is adjacent to the Maitland River and features the two-zone floodplain, which includes the floodplain and identified flood fringe. Floodplains and 15 meters of adjacent lands are regulated by the Conservation Authority, and any proposed development, including construction, placing of fill, reconstruction, or site grading, will be reviewed and approved by the Conservation Authority. Their comments indicated they had no objections to the proposed severance with regards to the natural hazards, but did recommend that they be afforded the opportunity to review the proposed and final site plan and provide written approval from MVCA prior to the issuing of the building permit. Here's the submitted sketch by the applicant for the proposed severed and retained lands, retained again outlined in yellow, and proposed severed outlined in purple. Here's the site photo of the property. You can see the grade change that the property does experience going back toward the Wingham Community Trail, which is located above the abutting Maitland River to the rear, and that is the proposed retained house. The consent policies in section 11.33 of the Township of North Huron official plan does contain criteria to permit a severance in an urban settlement area such as Wingham. The criteria includes no major undue extension of services. The consent has the effect of infilling in presently built-up areas, and the creation of new lots are in already developed areas. The subject property is surrounded by residential development along Alfred Street and Leopold Street, again with the Wingham Community Trail to the rear. It's currently serviced by municipal services, and the proposed consent would create a vacant infill lot, something which is available in limited supply in Wingham. The proposed consent addresses the need for residential lots in an area already established with a residential character and utilizes infill and intensification to create the lot as directed in the North Huron official plan. The significant grade changes on the property have been recognized and are proposed to be addressed at the time of the chief building officials and MBCA's review of the final site plan prior to issuing a building permit. And here's showing the proposed severed portion of the property from Alfred Street. And again, this is standing at the corner of Alfred and Leopold, looking north. And this is the house on the retained portion. Currently, the property is zoned R2, and there is no proposed zone change as the R2 zone in the North Huron zoning bylaw permits a single detached dwelling, and the proposed vacant lot satisfies the lot creation or lot minimum provisions in the R2 zone. I'm recommending that North Huron Council recommend approval of the proposed severance with the included and recommended attached conditions.
Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Chris.
Laura, through you, Reeve. Laura, the width, it's kind of blurry. Is it 21.22 meters or?
Yes, 21.
Oh, okay, so about 65 feet, 66 feet. Yeah, I was just concerned that it'd be wide enough to, to put a half-decent dwelling on it.
Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah, Laura, so MBCA and the chief building official haven't had any review of what that lot, is there any concerns that that lot will not be able to be built on from MBCA or the chief building official based on the way the lot is laid out and the criteria? I guess the reason I'm asking is it makes irrelevant if we want to sever it if you can't build on it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's unable to be built on because of grade or whatever the reason that would be, it would determine irrelevant to whether it's severed or not.
The comments from the Conservation Authority didn't have concerns with the slope stability as far as and the hazards that exist on the property as far as from the construction point. They do want the opportunity to review it so that they can verify that with where the house is being proposed to be built. And the building official also had no concerns. It is recognized there would be a significant amount of fill required for the property to construct the house though.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll read the motion. That the Council of Township of North Huron hereby recommend approval of the consented application report C011-2019, owner James and Alexa Dorr. Property description plan 410, part lot 457, 458, 465, 466, and part lane as 22R1413. Parts 1, 2, 75 Alfred Street West, Wingham Ward, Township of North Huron, with the following conditions. Expiry period. Conditions imposed must be met within 1 year of the date of the notice of decision, as required by Section 53/41/ of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, as amended. If conditions are not fulfilled as prescribed within 1 year, the application shall be deemed to be refused, provided and conditions are fulfilled within 1 year. The application is valid for 2 years from the date of the notice of decision. Municipal requirements. All municipal requirements be met to the satisfaction of the township, including severancing conditions if required. Cash in lieu of park, dedication, property maintenance, compliance with zoning bylaws, provisions for structures and any related requirements, financial or otherwise. Number 3, the sum of $500 be paid to the municipality for cash in lieu of parkland. Survey provided to the satisfaction of the county and the township. Number 1, a survey showing the lot line and the several parcels of the location of any buildings thereof and reference plan based on the approved survey. Number 5, zoning, where a violation of any municipal zoning bylaw is evident, the appropriate minor variance or rezoning to obtain to be satisfaction of the municipality. Do I have a mover? Paul Heffer, seconded by Anita Van Hitterman. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Carries. Thank you. The next is 7.1.2. Highway 4 and 86 Development Agreement Phase 2. And Lori, do you want to speak to that first, and then I'll put the motion through? Or?
Yes, thank you. So again, Council, welcome. This is the site plan agreement with 244-1716 Ontario Inc. for Plan 410 Block B in Wingham, otherwise known as 40 Josephine Street. So this is the second site plan of a two-stage site plan process. The first was approved by Council in December 2018 for the construction of a retaining wall, installation of storm sewers, and placing a fill in the highway commercial zone portion of the property. This second site plan before Council's consideration tonight addresses site matters for the commercial development, such as parking, landscaping, building layout, stormwater management, and traffic movement. The site proposes a commercial development for a gas station, convenience store, and McDonald's restaurant with a drive-through. The background for the subject property and the C3-1 Highway Commercial Special Zone on the property began in 1987 when the province of Ontario granted approval of the special policy area in Wingham. This was to create developable commercial land in the identified floodplain area as applied for by the former town of Wingham in 1986. It was assessed by the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority for the impacts of filling in the floodplain without negative effects on upstream and downstream flood levels. Town of Wingham undertook additional studies to determine how the area could be developed and identified the floodproofing standards for each area. In 1988, the province requested the town develop a master plan for the special policy area, which they approved in 1995. The special policy area is divided into 3 sub-areas, each having their own individual policies and regulations for their floodproofing and minimum flood elevations and other design standards. Comments are summarized from the following: Planning, North Huron and Huron County Public Works, and Maitland Valley Conservation Authority. So you can see here on the aerial photo the subject property. Comments from planning are that the subject properties are designated highway commercial and natural environment on Schedule B of the North Huron official plan and zoned highway commercial special zone C3-1 and floodway FW in the North Huron zoning bylaw. The proposed site plan complies with the provision of the North Huron zoning bylaw concerning the applicable highway commercial setbacks, including water course setbacks, parking requirements, stacking lanes, and loading spaces. The proposed uses for the site are all permitted in the C3 highway commercial zone. Comments from North Huron and Huron County Public Works are that the proposed entrances onto County Roads 86 and 4 are consistent with the entrance permits issued by the county in 2016, and work proposed along the county right-of-way with respect to drainage and replacement of guardrails aligns with the drawings and prior approval and conditions. Both North Huron and Huron County Public Works have discussed pedestrian traffic and access to the subject property. North Huron staff estimated it would cost approximately $12,000 for extension of the existing sidewalk to the intersection of County Roads 4 and 86. Further investigation surrounding the intersection, as well as management of pedestrian traffic, would need further consultation with the County of Huron. Further conversation with the developer has determined that they recognize pedestrian concerns and plan to construct a phase 2 in the north half of the property with future commercial development. And at that time, those uses and the site layout would paint a better picture on how to address pedestrian concerns satisfactorily. Comments from the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority are summarized in the comments that the floodway was adjusted with no net change in fill volume to allow the entrance off County Road 86, the minimum distance from the intersection of 4 and 86. The site plan was adjusted from the first submission, so the development is outside of the floodway, and the grading and building elevations were changed to be in conformance with the elevation requirements of the special policy area. Steve Jackson from Maitland Valley Conservation Authority is in attendance tonight as well. He's familiar with the application. The berm and sediment control measures were added to reduce the potential for pollution during the construction. And for stormwater management, quantity control was not required since the outlet becomes submerged when the river spills into the floodway. Quality control was done through the proposed storm conceptor. Maitland Valley Conservation Authority has no further concerns at this time, and it was noted a permit was issued for the site filling, and a second permit will be required for the construction of the building. My report includes a comprehensive list of the site plan drawings and supporting technical documents that were submitted as part of the site plan application and will be referenced in the site plan agreement between North Huron and the developer. Others consulted included the Site Plan Review Committee, CAO/Clerk Dwayne Evans, Chief Building Official Kirk Livingston, Public Works Director Sean McGee, and the Township Engineer Bruce Potter, as well as Mike Rouse, Fire Prevention Officer, Mike Hauser and Imran Khalid from Huron County Public Works, Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, and Dale Erb from BM Ross and Associates. I'm recommending that North Huron approve this development and enter into the site plan agreement with the developer.
I'm going to put the motion forward that the Council Township of North Huron hereby receives this report from Laura Simpson, planner regarding the site plan agreement with 2441716 Ontario Inc., 40 Josephine Street, Block B, Plan 410, Wingham, Township of North Huron. And further, the council approves the proposed site plan. And further, the council deems the adoption of bylaw number 33-2019 to be time sensitive and approves the extension of section 19.1 of the procedural bylaw to allow the bylaw number 33-2019 to be passed at the April 1st council meeting. Do I have a mover? Paul Hepper. Rick McBurney seconds. Questions or comments? Go ahead, Kevin.
My concern was the same one I had when the proposal first came to council. The possibility of traffic congestion and the need for traffic calming means making that a four-way or four-way stop. I can see quite a few cross traffic for pedestrians and vehicles. If someone's getting gas, someone's going to run across the street and grab a coffee, or vice versa. They'll be driving back and forth, creating a new intersection at that junction, so close to another intersection. And I just wonder what thoughts have gone into how we are going to deal with that cross traffic. It's up to the drivers there now. There's no stop signs there to say they have to stop. I see people pulling out of the Tim Hortons drive through there and coming out on the highway, not stopping, just to get into traffic. So, I haven't heard any concerns or any control methods yet. Are they coming later? I just hate to say I have to put another stoplight there again. Later date.
And through you, Reeve, Huron County Public Works didn't discuss a stoplight at that, just because of the close proximity to the 486 intersection. They did look at alignment with the intersection, with the entrance to the Valley Martin Tim Hortons to be on the other side. I realized I didn't actually forward to the proposed site plan, but you can see there with the proposed entrances and the proposed construction of the building. So it is smaller than the one across the road as well. So it wouldn't have the one.
There's 3 lanes across the road, maybe 2 lanes going into the property. It just looks like a recipe of not having control methods in place that are going to help ease the problem. Okay.
Who would look at that, Laura?
That was Public Works.
Public Works?
Yeah. And there was a traffic study that was completed as part of the process for this that looked at traffic movement on and off the site.
Nothing was found.
Not to my knowledge, because it was conducted prior to the issuing of the entrance permits, which were done approximately 3 years ago. And they looked at compatible movement then.
Chris?
Through your Reeve, Laura, good point. Kevin, I think we did discuss why not move it to the north. There seems to be room on that lot, just so it's zigzag then it stops that straight through, because that temptation will be there.
Moving the entrance to the
Yeah,
north.
just move it to the north, so it becomes a zig and not straight on. Like, that's a simple answer to it. It'll happen. People will shoot through.
Just to throw this out there, going straight across like that might be better than zigzag. And if it's sometime we wanted to put a crosswalk or something like that in there, pedestrian crosswalk or something, it would be, they could line up. Just throwing that out there, Chris. I'm just thinking, look, I see a crosswalk coming someday is what I see. By that or a roundabout. And if they were, the way they've got it set up now, it'd be an easy crosswalk rather than staggering the way you're thinking. Just throwing that out
It
there.
won't stop cars from shooting across.
No.
I just worry because just my personal worry about it is that it's 4 lanes of traffic. There's a turning lane into
Timmy's.
Timmy's and the straight through lane, and also that's where the road widens out for the right-hand turning lane, and then the 2 left, or straight through and left turn. There's just a lot of lanes of traffic right there to make a straight cross. So I see a problem.
So often when you pull out, and I'm guilty of it, all I'm looking is at towards the lights to make sure that I can go, and I don't stop. You don't have to.
Yeah.
So you just go. Now, with it across the road, there could be someone hanging a left, and I wouldn't even see them. Maybe I would, but I might not.
The motion's on the floor. Go ahead, Trevor.
I have a different question. I am all for development. My concern is, and it won't necessarily reflect, I'm assuming the developer has done their study or their findings on whether this is economically feasible for them to put this development there and for it to survive. The concern that I have is we have 4 other gas stations in the town of North Huron, in Wingham, on its own. And the concern I have is, a gas station development is unique in itself. If one of those were to fail, there's a lot of things that have to happen in order to repurpose that lot. And my concern is of a town that we have, and I know we have lots of traffic that goes from Listowel to Kincardine and Port Elgin or Port Albert and all that way. This is ideal for that perspective. But my concern is if we have these other developments that we've had that fail, now the municipality has to figure out what we're going to do with those developments if we want to repurpose them in order to make them functional. Because if they're vacant, we get property tax money, but it's not as economically feasible as if they were operating. So, it's just a comment. I don't think it's, I'm all for development because I think development breeds property taxes and breed investment in the municipality. So I agree with that. I'm just concerned about what the development is per se, because it's, competition breeds competition. I'm okay for that, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the side that, if those things aren't feasible down the line, that a council from here or 20 years from now is going to have to figure out how to redevelop or repurpose those developments later on in the future.
Trevor, I think I can touch on that a bit. When we developed the other end of Blythe, there was a large congregation came to council in my past council days and were upset, and it boiled down to it is zoned properly. They are meeting the zones, and we as a council don't have the right to determine. And I'm just saying that we don't have the right to determine what's fair. You know where I'm going with that?
What I'm saying is I'm okay with the development.
Mm-hmm.
I just want everybody to understand what that development's going to do to everything else what that municipality has. Great for them. If they can make it work and the municipality can survive and everybody can spread the wealth, then we're all happy. But and I'm not expecting us to force what has to go there. We have no obligation. We can't do that. But I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page to understand that if they don't go If nothing goes bad or everything goes good, then we may have to figure out what we're gonna do with health development to repurpose those properties. That's all my point was, so.
Okay, no. Any other questions or concerns or comments? Seeing none, I call the vote. All in favor? Carries. Is this where you want to now add into? I'm gonna switch this, give this over to Dwayne for a minute, because we're gonna continue on to put this through, so you folks don't have to sit here all night. We know you've come a very long way.
So just speaking to the Reeves comments, just in terms of, we usually do bylaws later on the council agenda, but in light of the fact that developers have traveled a fair piece to be here, it is possible for us to call the bylaw forward, is what we refer to it as. So what we'd be looking for is a mover and a seconder to call that bylaw forward, and then you would go through the process of giving it the appropriate readings.
Okay. So that's that one right there, right?
I'll move that.
Okay.
I'll move to call it for
Okay.
Reeves Valley.
So Trevor's gonna move that the council of the Township of North Huron hereby receive the report from Laura Simpson, planner. I think this went to my next one, did it not? Am I reading the same one again? Didn't go through, sorry. Okay, we're just gonna move it forward. Trevor's gonna pass it. Seconder is gonna be Paul Heffer. All in favor? Carries. Any questions or comments? None?
So now you can.
Is that the right bylaw? I got the right bylaw. Yeah, okay. I think we have the right bylaw here, folks. Bylaw number 33, yes it is. 2019 being a bylaw to authorize the site plan control agreement between the Corporation of the Township of North Huron and 2441716 Ontario Inc. to be introduced, read a first, second, and third and final time, signed by the reeve and clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book. Do I have a mover? Anita and Rick. All in favor? Carries. Thank you. Okay. So we also, from the municipality of Morris Turnberry, this is the add-on for today. I will read this here. Attaches a report from Ellison Municipal Drain. We are holding the reading and the report on Tuesday, April 16, 2019. We need one person from North Huron to attend the reading of the report, and if the same person could attend the court of revision, tentative date, May 21st, 2019, please let us know. So we're looking for that the town of North Huron Council hereby approve. Would anybody like to put their name forward for this? Rick?
When's the meeting?
Oh, sorry.
Tuesday, April 16th at 8:15.
AM? PM.
You have to
Oh, I
send
could
this
lease
to-
your support, so I can't do it.
Yeah, so.
Oh, sorry, Paul had his name up? Sorry. Okay, Paul Heffer.
16th.
He will attend both the April the 16th and May 21st on behalf of the Township of North Huron. Do I have a
I'll
mover?
move it.
And seconder, Rick again. All in favor? Thank you very much, Paul. So on the financial department, I'm not seeing anything tonight. Bear with me, my things are jumping around, my pad's jumping around. Recreation Community Services, I'm not seeing anything. Public Works and Facility, we have 7.4.1, the outcome of the RPF. And I'm going to read the motion. That the Council Township of North Huron hereby receive the report of the Director of Public Works dated April 1st, 2019 regarding the outcome of the Clumbarian RFP for information. Further, that the contract for the supply and installation of a 72 niche columbium, I'm not sure I'm saying that right, folks, in the amount of $39,460 plus applicable taxes be awarded to Nielsen Granite, and further that the transfer of $1,000 from the cemetery reserve be authorized to complete the columbium project. And forgive me if I did not say that right. Do I have a mover? Anita, seconder. Chris. Comments or questions? All in favor? Carries. Okay, the OPS 2019 boundary agreement. That the council of the Township of North Huron hereby receive the report of the Director of Public Works dated April 1st, 2019 regarding a boundary agreement between the Township of North Huron and the municipality of Morris Turnberry for information. And further, the clerk be instructed to prepare a bylaw to adopt the North Huron Morris Turnberry winter control boundary agreement as of April 15th council meeting. Sean, could you speak to this? If you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Basically, what's before council here is we'll call it almost an administrative housekeeping exercise. Because of our proximity to Morris Turnberry, we found it over the past few years mutually beneficial to kind of trade off some functions. There's certain Morris Turnberry properties that are in close proximity to where our plows are running. And vice versa. Perfect example, Morris Turnberry is over in Belgrade. So what this does is basically say, okay, you guys, while you're doing Belgrade, cross over and do our piece of it. When we're up to the north end of the township and as well down around Walden Road, same thing applies. We've got our plows there, so we just do that. It saves everybody tramming and passing each other on the highway. It's been in play for a number of years now, and this is basically just a formalization of that agreement, because in essence, we're out of township property without proper authority to do so.
Yeah.
The second piece to this is there are a couple boundary roads that are shared, so we go down one side, they go down the other. This agreement speaks to the capital piece. So if one of those boundary roads needs work, basically, there's a mechanism in the agreement whereby the respective directors of public works would put a report forward to the other municipality to basically say, there's some work needed. It gives both councils time to discuss it, to budget for it, and it's a cost share. So it's 50-50, equally proportioned between the two.
And you know how much I like to hear that. Do I have a mover? Trevor, seconder by Paul. Questions or
What happens
comments?
in Auburn through you, Reeve?
Auburn's an agreement that takes place between Central Huron and North Huron as well as EW. So that's a little more complicated because there's that intersection of the three townships. And that's something that we're working on formalizing for this upcoming year.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Passes. Fire department. We're going to go to 7.5.1 for fire department report. I'll just read the motion, then I'll ask you to speak to it. That the Council Township of North Huron hereby accepts the report from the Fire Chief of North Huron dated April 1st, 2019 regarding 2018 annual report of fire department activity and information. And further, the Fire Chief be directed to share the effective 2018 annual fire report with the municipality of Central Huron, the municipality of Morris Turnberry, and the township of Asheville, Holborn, Wawanosh. Yes.
Okay, so this is a report that we do every year. It may have a few things similar to when I reported during our council orientation earlier in the year. So I apologize for that, but it's just a snapshot of 2018 activities of the fire department. So the mission statement, the goals, our organization flow chart showing all the members of the fire department. Core services that we provide, public education, fire prevention, the training division and what they do in the training. Mechanical division, which is the apparatus and equipment, just an overview of things that we have and repairs that had to take place. PPE, which is personal protective equipment, what we purchased and what is required in 2019. And the incident responses. So there's a snapshot of what they responded to. Central Huron, 9 calls. Howick was 2 calls for mutual aid. 21 calls in Morris Turnbury. North Huron had a total of 136 calls. 7 calls in Ashfield, Corbourne, and Wawanosh. 2 calls in South Bruce. And again, those were for mutual aid or assistance to another fire department. So 177 calls in total between the 2 stations. The financial statement portion is the next portion in the report. And I just outlined how in 2018 we did have a surplus at the end of the year. I noted the reasons for the surplus. As you know, I started in May of last year. It's a shared services agreement with North Huron. The budget still had some items in there that reflected a full-time fire chief. We also didn't get a lot of the training done that they had hoped to do due to the uncertainty of the ESTC. They started a firefighter 1 course there. We did have a number of firefighters that were enrolled in that. It didn't get through all the way, so they only did a partial of that training, so that has to be completed. So with that surplus, we did speak to the other municipalities, and we asked if it could be, put into reserves and then used for this year's budget. So they agreed that the 30,000 for the training can be, brought back out this year and used. And the other portion, so the other half of that, the other 33,000, will be reflected on next year's budget. So it'll be calculated, and the payments for each municipality will be lower because they'll have that extra revenue in there. Okay. And then just a summary page of the things that I kind of highlighted right there. Some of the changes that did happen in 2018. Another big one was the sale of the STC. That was finalized in January, and of course we're moving forward with the building of the new fire hall. We did update the agreements with Central Huron and Morris Turnbury, and we will be doing ACW this year, which will begin in 2020. So on behalf of the 45 officers and firefighters that make up Fire Department of North Huron, I'd like to thank all council members and the community for your ongoing support. The department continues to work hard towards maintaining the requirements of the Fire Prevention and Protection Act, continuing to promote public education, fire prevention, and of course, continuous fire suppression and emergency response. And it always amazes me the dedication and commitment volunteer firefighters put into the department, and we are very fortunate to have a great group of firefighters. Thank you.
Do I have a mover? Anita? Rick seconds. Any questions or comments? I would like to say that on behalf of our council and our community, we do appreciate the effort the firefighters, we know the effort the firefighters put in and how much work it can be, or we think we do. I'm sure they know a lot more, but we do appreciate all their efforts. Did you want to say something, Joe?
Yeah, just a question, Murray, about the call volume. Is that call volume representative of the I know, I think it was 3 years ago, the call volume was astronomical. Is this call volume more representative of what we're going to should be seeing in the future, or Or what,
Yeah, so-
how is the budget related to
So our
this?
5-year average is normally about 165
Okay.
calls. So it was slightly above
Okay.
average, but still within that,
No
very
significant,
close. Yeah.
which means
You had
there's
a
no,
really-
nothing significant gonna cause any,
Right, you had a really high year a few years ago
Yeah.
where there was a large number of calls.
so if you had, so we budget operationally for about 165 calls.
165, 170.
Yeah, so what's the call volume that would cause significant rupture in the budget? What would be a call volume that would cause a rupture in the budget?
It's not so much the call volume, it's
The time
the time
of a call.
of a call. So if you get a large structure fire,
Mhm.
and I'll take, for example, the house fire that happened at the end of December in Morris
Morris
Turnbury here. That was a 2-day call. Because the one day is
Putting it on.
putting it out, the second day was the fire investigation.
Right.
You don't need as many firefighters the second day, but it's still, that call alone was over $10,000, just firefighter wage.
Okay.
So it's those types of calls that drive your budget up.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor of the motion? Carries.
Thank you.
Thank
I have
you.
to slip out fire practice, so please excuse me.
Thank you for waiting around. Nothing in the building department by the looks of it, or the child care department. We're gonna go to 7.8, the CAO. We're gonna start with 7.8.1, the housing dam terms of reference. Did kick in. And I'm gonna read the, actually, I think we'll let Dwayne talk to this first. And then I'll read the motion, I think. Can you speak to this?
So at the March 18th regular meeting, as council recall, there was a motion passed. At that meeting, there were draft terms of reference presented for the House and Bridge Committee. And there was some feedback from council, and staff have gone back and made revisions to those draft terms of reference. At that meeting as well, there was a public comment received with respect to the name of the committee. Staff gave consideration to other possible names. Staff also reached out to the House and Dam and Pond Committee, the representative who was in attendance, and asked for name suggestions as well. And there were 4 name suggestions that were considered from a staff's perspective. And after further discussion in the discussions with the House and Dam Committee representative, the name for this particular committee is proposed to continue to remain the House and Bridge Committee. So in addition to that, in terms of other amendments made to the draft terms of reference, there was a comment made with respect to that wanted it to ensure that it was clear that the mandate of the committee was to prevent a preferred course of action for council's consideration, and council is the decision maker, and that the committee would dissolve once council has made a decision regarding the preferred course of action. So we've made amendments clarifying or making sure that it's clear that this committee dissolves after council has made that decision. And in 2 or 3 places, you'll notice that we've emphasized that council is the decision maker with respect to the course of action that comes forward. With respect to committee membership, the draft terms of reference as they are maintains a minimum of 5 committee members, one of them being the chair, who would be recommendation is a member of council. There is no maximum. There has since been comments received suggesting that a maximum should be established for the committee in terms of membership. It's purposely left in terms of a minimum number and in terms of how many council want to put on that committee. But I'm sure council is appreciative that the larger the committee gets in terms of being able to carry out its work. And council also indicated at the last meeting that the committee would have 1 year to complete their task. So as you can appreciate, the larger the committee, the more discussion, which is not a bad thing. But in terms of being able to come forward with the preferred course of action within that year. So that's something I'm sure that council will consider as you go forward. With respect to if council is supportive of the terms of reference as they are presented, or if council wishes to make amendments to them. The motion reads in terms of that staff would then proceed with advertising and receiving applications. We would then summarize the applications, evaluate the applications, and they'd be discussed in council with closed session. And then at a closed session, council would then make a decision in terms of what the committee membership, how many would be on the committee, and who would be on the committee. So those would be discussions that council would need to take into consideration. As well, I'll maybe just comment that as council is aware, since the draft terms of reference were presented at the March 18th meeting, the Mayor Morris Turnberry has publicly expressed an interest in having representation on the committee. We basically, in a press release on March the 22nd, indicated that the purpose of the committee, we've explained the purpose of the committee and expressed that there will be an opportunity for non-committee members to express their views and opinions to the committee, or if they wish, they can come and address council directly. And there were also comments made with respect to the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, expressing some concern. Our Reeve and Morris Turnberry Mayor did have a discussion, and I will maybe leave that for you to speak to. Again, if council is supportive and decides to adopt the terms of reference as they're on the agenda, staff will proceed to advertise for the committee appointments. In terms of the timeline, the terms of reference subject to council approval will be adopted tonight. We would do advertising for appointments from about April 18th to the 19th. Applications would be due on April 22nd. Council would consider the applications received on May the 6th at your council meeting. If there are insufficient applications or council wants to receive more applications, can certainly do that at May 20th. What we'd be aiming for the first meeting of this committee in June is kind of the timeline that we're suggesting there. So just as a reminder, there are no major municipal capital funds in the budget for the work of this committee. In order to access, there is in our approved 2018 budget $15,000 to assist if the committee wants to bring in an engineer, for example, wants some additional information. There is some money in the budget for that, but in order for the committee to access those funds, they would have to come back to council to receive that approval.
So I'm going to address, there's been some conversation between Jamie and I, several conversations between Jamie and I. We spoke today at 2 o'clock. I wrote it down because I want to make sure I get it right, and so Jamie and I are both on the same page. So I talked around 2 o'clock today at Jamie does not want to be seen as telling North Huron what to do or when to do things, but he has the legitimate concern on behalf of his ratepayers about the effect of anything we do with the dam and how it would affect Morris Turnberry. That's his job. That's what he's after. He does not want to be seen as manipulating or mandating anything in our district. And I agree with him. And he is not, as far as I am concerned, he's not. He's asking legitimate questions. We're having legitimate conversations. And we've been talking and discussing quite a few subjects. So he's concerned with the way some of this is coming out as if things aren't quite right. Yes, Jamie wanted to be on the first committee, but he does understand it's the taxpayers of North Huron. It's our district. It's our council's district. It's our problem, and it's for us to do. He wants to make sure that he'll be able to speak, no different than the environmental people or any person that lives in North Huron or East Wawa, or Morris Turnberry or ACW. We'll let everybody talk. Everybody's going to have a chance to talk and have. This is how we're going to come to the proper conclusion. But I want to make it very clear that Jamie is speaking properly on behalf of his community and their concerns, just like we're speaking on behalf of our community and our concerns. But this dam is in our community, and it will be taxpayers that will be involved in the committee, and they will allow everyone that wants to come and speak, as will this council. So I hope I finally cleared that up. This is not a one-way street. This is an open communication the way it should be. So having said that, before I read the motion, Is there any counselor that would like to put their name forward to actually be the chair for this committee? Anybody giving it thought? Like to take it on?
I would put my name forward for that.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Is there anyone else that would like to put their name forward?
Is a possible second
Okay.
counselor? No,
Okay.
that's the question I have. So I know we did talk about one, but I had issues. Am I speaking out of turn?
No, go ahead. No.
I had issues with whoever the chairman would be. I know you're supposed to go in unbiased, blah, 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 but you're not. When it comes to voting, you're not. And I know it does come back down to us and we decide. It's almost good to have, it's quite a job for one person, one counselor to do this. And it might be easier if there's a second, irregardless of how they think, I suppose, but it might be easier.
And again, you can put your name forward to be on the committee. The committee will be, it will be run just like this council is run. One person runs a council and everybody else gets involved, but there has to be one person that has to say, okay, enough's enough, or yes, we move forward, or direct that. So it has to be one council, Chris, one counselor for that reason.
For sure.
Okay, so seeing none then, but I do want to say something, Kevin. Thank you very kindly from the Blythe ward and from the East Wawanosh ward. Chris, thank you for putting your name forward as a possible second. We are a community of communities and we're moving forward as a community. Thank you, gentlemen. Go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah, I did want to make point that, it's gonna be nice to have, obviously, if approved by council, it would be nice to have somebody from East Wawanosh or Blythe, or especially the new councilors coming into this. They're gonna get a whole new sense of understanding of what this issue has become or what it is, without any preconceived notion from myself or as a counselor, because again, I'm not gonna speak to either anybody here about what this committee has to make the decision on, because it's gonna come to this council anyways at the end of the day. My concern is that no matter who is on the committee, that this council needs to be very clear about keeping up to date with what the committee's doing and keeping up to date on the information that's being presented at those committee meetings and being presented to us. At the end of the day, when that recommendation comes from that committee to council, we as council should not then take 3 or 4 weeks to figure out what we're going to do. We should be following the process no different than we follow a process with every other committee, so that when it gets to us, we can make a decision in due time. I'm not suggesting we make the off-the-cuff decision the next meeting or whatever, but it should not take meetings after meetings of reviewing about information that's already been talked about at the committee. So I just want to make sure that, as a committee member, as a counselor, you're going to be involved in it, because you're going to see the minutes of the meetings no matter whether you want to see them or not. You're going to see them. So I do respect the fact that, Chris, the Councillor Palmer has a concern about how that information is perceived by one. The Reeve is going to be on the committee as an ex officio member, so there's 2 people that are going to be, talking about it, discussing about it within the committee. So I think, I'll leave it as that. I'm not going to resonate anything more about this committee and any information that's being presented. I think that committee can take all the information that the Public Works issue has been, the environmental, MVCA, the House and Dam, the Pond Committee. They can look at all of that information and come to a realization about what they want to see as this proposal for the municipality. But I do appreciate the fact that it is nice to get a new set of chair eyes to look at this committee and look at this asset as an asset and what we need to do to decide on how we're going to go forward with it. So I do appreciate the fact that Kevin's put his name, or Councillor Faulkner's put his name forward. So I do appreciate that.
Very well spoken, Trevor. So I'm going to read the motion that the council of the Township of North Huron hereby receive the report from the CEO dated April 1st, 2019 regarding the terms of reference for the Housing Dam Committee for information purpose, and further that the council proceed to adopt the bylaw approving the terms of reference for the Housing Bridge Committee, and further that Kevin Faulkner be appointed as a council representative and the chairperson for the committee, and further that in accordance with the adoption terms and reference, staff be directed to proceed with advertising for appointments on the committee and provide a summary of evaluations of applications received as soon as possible. Do I have a mover? Trevor moves. No, sorry, it's a council meeting and only councils can speak. No, you can't, sir, sorry. Rick is seconding. All in favor?
Oh, no, questions.
Oh, sorry, questions.
Lots.
Yep.
Lots of. Two main ones. I still feel that we should change the name and encompass dam, because everything is in its words. Words are everything to it. How you define however we move forward. And I have this little bug in my head that if we do not include dam, then however this plays out here, yay or nay. If it's a nay, the committee is still alive and well, the pond and dam committee. And, we said, this is just hypothetical. We said no in this spot. And they're still alive and well, and they'll come back and back and back. But I feel, if we have the name dam involved, and it goes that way, it would put an end to it. It may go the other way, so be it. But it has to be finalized if it goes the name. And it has to have the name in. Part of the name anyways.
So we have a motion on the floor that can be taken into consideration, because we have a motion on the floor for this.
More.
Go ahead.
There's more.
Oh, go ahead.
So yeah, I would make an amendment for that. But the other one is, I know in your executive summary you talked about that the committee has to be cognizant of the financial. I don't know how you printed it, but financial concerns. But it's not strongly enough worded in the terms of reference. It just says cognizant of the fact that there's no established operating budget for the committee. That can be switched in a heartbeat. I need it to include that in its strongest terms, that we need to, the committee has to be cognizant that we do not have the municipal budget. They need to be cognizant of the municipal budget at all times. Okay, we can put it that way. In other words, if the budget is blown over with money, okay, that's a way of looking at the committee and what it wants to do. But if it's not, they have to be thinking in those terms.
So
Because money does not grow on trees here.
I'll maybe let Donna speak to that. My understanding is there's no financial impact on anything they're doing. They have no ties to any money, period.
I don't hear the period part.
So I want Donna just to maybe, can you?
Well, I was going to say, I think Dwayne explained that at the beginning. In this year's 2019 budget, there's just over $15,000, which is in a reserve.
Mhm.
And that's all the money that council has approved for the 2019 budget. And as Dwayne was saying at the beginning, in order for the group to access that money, and he outlined that could be for engineering or whatever of those items that the committee feels they need. But they can't just go and spend it. They can't go hire somebody to spend that money. They have to come back to council and say, we need help from an engineer, and then council would have to give approval for them to access that $15,000. But That's all the money that is allocated in the 2019 budget for this year.
I know, but I still want the committee, and there'll be people on the committee that have no idea about what our budget looks like and what we have plans for down the road, things like that. So I want it to be, I would like it to be in the terms of reference that they're always cognizant of it. You know, they can override it perhaps, or they can recommend to override it. I just want them to be aware of it. And yes, the chairman can keep pounding that out. And I hope he does, because it has to be done knowing this thing, that they're maybe going one way. If they're going that way, they need to know this is a lot of money, folks. And we've got a standpipe to build, and we've got this, and we've got that. That's all I'm asking for, is that it's on the books, that they're aware of it. That's all.
Chair recognizes Kevin.
I would put Chris Palmer's name forward as a consideration for
You
in the lead.
No, you're first.
So the motion on the floor then? Do I have a
We
mover?
have a recorded vote.
Yep, we'll have a recorded vote here. Trevor, do you have a question or?
Well, it's more of a comment to Councillor Palmer's concern is this committee has been on the books for almost 3 years now. The discussion about a committee or the House and Dam or this project. Nobody should be coming onto this committee unknowingly of what's going on in this, whether there's money available or not money available, or what they have to do. Like, if they're coming on this committee and the first question we ask is, and they ask is how much money do we have, they're really not meant to be on the committee, because they don't really understand the realm of the committee itself. The terms of reference only indicate what their goal is. The goal is for them to come to a recommendation to council about what that structure is going to mean in the next 50 years. That's what council wants them to tell us. What money they have is none. They have no money because they're not making a decision on money. They're making a decision on what they believe is the recommendation for that asset. At the end of the day, that's it in my mind. So cognizant of budget or not cognizant of budget, they're going to have no impact on the financial budget of the municipality. They can't overturn it or whatever. They have to come to council to request anything. The only thing they don't have to come to council for is to give us the recommendation whether to rebuild it, to tear it out, or to repair it. That's it. So at the end of the day, that's the conversation. So, and if anybody coming to the committee and doesn't understand that role, then in my mind, they have been living under the greatest, biggest rock in the entire municipality. Because that has been a conversation from day one.
Then we'll have to make sure they know it. I don't trust anything. If it's not in writing, I don't trust it. And yeah, I know what you're saying, and probably you're right, but I like things in pen.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I noticed that Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, they're not involved in it by what it says here. I'm just wondering, we pay them about $90,000 a year. Should we not be having a bit of input? I'm just throwing that out there.
So Paul, I'm going to address this too.
Oh, okay.
I'll address this for you. So as you know, Phil Beard sent us, all of us, an email, and I explained to him this morning. I don't understand why people don't understand. Everyone, anyone can come before the committee and speak to the committee. They can come to the council and speak for the council. Nobody is being left out. Okay? Nobody's being left out, and that's where they will fit into it. Okay. Okay, there's a motion on the floor. I'm going to call the vote. Oh, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, explain how it's gonna work. Could I ask for
Oh, yes.
that? And so we have to, I'm asking to change the name.
You want an amendment?
Yes, please.
Okay, so you want an amendment on the name, And what would you like it to be?
Well, one of the suggestions was bridge dam or,
So the way this works is you'll decide, tell us what you want to do, and it'll be up to the mover and seconder if they will accept the amendment. And I've never had this happen before, so if they don't, I don't know what to do.
okay.
So you want to change the name,
The bridge dam.
Bridge Dam, and you want the financing, also wanted to
It's just,
clarify there's no funding available. Did I say that right?
just
No, that's wrong.
no,
because
I don't want to say that because it might, maybe will.
Okay.
I just want the folks to be cognizant that, cognizant of our financial situation, the municipalities' financial situation.
Okay.
That's
So
it.
you got it. Okay. So- You got that?
2 minutes.
Mhm.
So we carry on with this motion first. Yeah, so we'll do the motion. As it is. Or amended. No, as amended, subject to the mover and seconder agreeing to the amendment.
So the motion still stands and it's subject to, no,
So,
yeah,
Yeah,
go
so-
ahead and explain this.
so Trevor moved the motion, Rick seconded the motion. So what Councillor Palm is asking for is an amendment to the motion. And the motion as it stands basically says to proceed to adopt the bylaw approving the terms of reference for the House and Bridge Committee. So what we need to do then is to proceed to adopt the bylaw approving terms of reference for the House and Bridge Committee, subject to the name being changed to the House and Bridge Dam Committee, and further that a provision be added stating that the committee needs to be cognizant of the fact of the municipality's financial situation.
And the mover and seconder have to
The
agree to
mover and
that.
seconder have to agree to that amendment.
This moves it forward, we move it on.
Who was the seconder? I forgot. Rick, you okay with that, Rick? Okay, with the amendment now? All in favor? And it's a recorded vote.
Recorded vote.
She'll call your name.
Deputy Reeve Sight,
Yes?
No.
Counselor. Counselor Huffer,
Yes.
Counselor McBurney,
Yes.
Counselor Palmer,
Yes.
Counselor Van Kitterson.
No.
Reeve Bailey,
Yes,
carries.
carries. Okay. This thing back up. Okay, 7.8.2 Huron County Water Protection Steering Committee. We had this discussion. I wonder if we should have this discussion first before I read the motion. Trevor, could you help us fill us in on this organization? I'm not sure if any councilors ever sat on it before, or maybe Dwayne can.
It's better,
Go ahead,
either
Dwayne.
one of us, I don't think anybody really knows the whole,
Okay.
what there was nobody sitting on the committee in the previous council.
Okay.
And, you know, to be quite honest with you, after I got we went over the agenda on Friday or Thursday, it's the first time I've ever heard of it. So to be quite honest with you, I don't know that it was ever
I wasn't-
discussed at all.
I wasn't sure if your council before it sat on or not. Then
No.
Sorry, Dwayne, do you mind taking over and telling us a bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So the county has contacted member municipalities requesting confirmation or an indication whether or not we wish to have representation on the Huron County Water Protection Steering Committee. This is a county committee and was established in the spring of 2004 with 3 goals. One was to bring together representatives from agencies, groups, and municipalities. So including planning, health unit, municipalities, conservation authorities, Miss Environment, OMAFRA, agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, cottage associations, and watershed groups So organizations, agencies that have an interest in water protection. Second goal is to prioritize and recommend implementation measures to participating agencies. So again, things like the Conservation Authority, Ministry of Environment, or MAFRA. And the third is to coordinate activities at a broad level, subject to resources of the participating agencies. North Huron, as Deputy Reeve has indicated, I spoke with the county person who contacted me, who advised that North Huron has not sent a representative to sit on this committee in the past. And so essentially, this is a request to know whether or not we wish to have a representative on this committee. If we do, the committee meets 4 times a year. The upcoming meeting dates are June 15th, September 20th, and November 22nd. The meetings are at 9 o'clock in the morning until about noon, followed by lunch at the White Carnation Hall in Holmesville. County council representatives appointed to the committee in the past have included Ward McGinn, who is the mayor of Central Huron, Councillor Dietrich from South Huron, Councillor Ferguson from Blue Water, Councillor Klopp from Blue Water, Councillor McNeil from ACW, and Councillor Murdoch from the town of Goderich. So again, we haven't had representation on this committee in the past. If we do decide, or council decides to appoint a committee member to this particular committee, they will be eligible for the per diem meeting rate, as well as for mileage to attend those meetings. So I'm not sure what else I can help. What else I can?
So this is a new one for us. So is there, before I call the motion, is there anybody that, again, would like to put their name forward? Rick, you would like to put your name forward? Is there anyone else? Seeing none, then that the Council of Township of North Huron hereby receive a report from the CEO dated April 1st, 2019 regarding the North Huron appointment to the Huron County Water Protection Steering Committee for information purposes, and further that the councillor, Mr. McBurney, be appointed to the Huron County Water Protection Steering Committee, and further that the staff be directed to bring forward an amendment to the committee appointment bylaw for the April 15, 2019 council meeting to reflect this appointment. Do I have a mover? Trevor moves, Paul seconds. All in favor? Motion passes. Okay, we're going to go into correspondence. Is there anybody from the, is there anybody has any correspondence? We don't have, sorry. If we don't have any correspondence, give me a second. My screen is freezing up on me tonight. Okay, so no correspondence. Thank you very much, Dwayne. Council reports. Starting with the Reeves activity report. I was going to discuss Morris Turnberry, but I did earlier. And as I said, there was a couple other issues with the dam committee, but we've seen our way through that. So I would like to say that we're at the, a lot of us were at the Four Winds in Brussels for a get together, and it was very informative. And there were 4 young folks there starting their own business, and that was very informative. And I actually got to meet the person that has the cheese plant. I actually got to meet the owner a few days later. So I was gassing up, and he seen my Milky 2 on my truck, and he goes, "Hey." And what a coincidence, I met with him, told him what a great speaker she was. The Wingham Theater, 400 seats above. Paul, who has worked so hard on this, as you all know, we're so proud of you and all the volunteers that worked on it. We had that on Sunday, the opening of it, and it was, there was a lot of people out, Paul, 200? Every one of the councilors were there. 200 would there be? I would say. It was fairly full, yeah. All the councilors were out for that one. We're quite proud of our volunteers. On Sunday, I was at the bowling for children, but that's really nothing to do with council. The Futures program, I'm the county representative on that, and I was at one of those meetings, and everything is on par for them this year. We'll be having our general meeting shortly. Dwayne and I signed off on the new fire hall location, so we officially own that land now. We could start putting something on that building. Donna, the budget, I believe, should be done shortly for the county. I'm sure you're gonna be happy of that one, and it looks like a very good budget too this year. That's all for myself. So we will go on to council member reports, verbal or written, updates from the council members. Would anybody like to speak to that? Go ahead,
I can say
Edie.
something. I went to AMO training on Thursday and Friday. We talked about council procedures, roles, code of conduct, and strategic planning. We had land use planning. It was very, very useful. Really good conference and very small and very good.
Great. Chris?
Yeah, I met with Vicky and we've come up with our agreement and we're ready to present it to, well, it has to be written up, but we've hammered it out. And we're gonna present it to the Knights of Columbus, hopefully on the 9th.
Okay.
I'm pushing this, sorry, but I wanna bring it to the 15th, to our next meeting.
All right.
The reason being, May and June, I'm gone. We're planting and I won't be able to participate. So for that reason, we had everything that we had agreed, they agreed with.
Excellent.
And we didn't really have much arm twisting and you'll find it out. But anyways, which we expect them to sign, we hope anyways. You never know. But we expect it. And we're not doing any fast ones and they won't. Actually, we have a very good working relationship and they're happy and we're happy with just even that aspect. So we'll be bringing it forward next meeting.
That's great. We're looking forward to that. Rick?
I got nothing to report other than that's 13.1, the Kyle and Ainsley Day.
Oh, yes.
They're expecting or wishing that council go to Blythe.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
just so.
I think a lot of us are.
Yes.
I'm hoping all the councilors can make it out again. Our community is quite blessed lately with people that are achieving great achievements. Yes, I will be there too. Yeah, and I'm hoping all the councilors can make it. I mean, it is a Sunday, I believe, so
Yes.
yeah. No, we're looking forward to that. Right? Paul, anything?
Nope.
Kevin?
No, I was just gonna bring up the same subject.
Okay, Trevor?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a couple of comments for some excellent hockey that has been played by the town of Wingham. We both had representation from the Adam rep team as well as the Adam AE team. Both made it to the Ontario Minor Hockey Association championships. They obviously did not win, but they did have a successful season, so I did want to congratulate them on that. It was an excellent season. I did take my girls to watch one of the games, so it was excellent to see that kind of hockey being played in Wingham and in North Huron, because that's a testament to the coaching and the volunteers that put into the hard work to teach our children how to that sport. So I did want to make sure mention of that. I did want to also mention I had the luxury of driving to Aurelia to participate in the OPP graduation for the amalgamated class of our 6 police officers. They started last week in the municipality or in the county. They are being kind of chaperoned with an experienced officer, learning the OPP kind of policies and procedures. They'll be doing that for over a month. Basically coming back into the municipality and getting themselves more up to date in the OPP perception. But we have heard nothing but positives from both the OPP officers, the 6 Wingham police officers that went to the training. They were pretty happy to successfully graduate that. It was nice to see them. It was nice to see that a lot of them, their families were there, and it was nice that they were able to spend 4 weeks together. They've never had that ability to spend 4 weeks together. They may not have liked it after the 4 weeks, but they never had a chance to spend 4 weeks together at all, because always one of them had to be on shift. So was nice that they had the ability to do that, as well as they had the weekend to have with their families before they went back onto their rotation for the fire or for the police again. So it's nice to see them back to work. They will be notified or noticed in the community, but the OPP has been received great support from the community and the municipality. And they're very happy with the way things have gone so far during the transition. So.
Thank you very much. So is there notices of motion? Does anybody want to put a notice of motion where they would like to talk about something in the future? If you're not sure how the notice of motion works, don't be afraid to give Dwayne a call and get it sorted out. Because I kind of stumble on it too, and I would only lead you astray. Go ahead, Trevor.
So Reeve, I'll just make, so the notice of motion in essence is supposed to be done pre-existing the agenda. So if you have something that you would like to talk about at a future meeting, it is your opportunity to put the notice of motion on the agenda so that everybody in the municipality knows that that's what you want to talk about not the meeting in your head. So it would be, the agenda goes out Friday, it would be Wednesday at noon, you would have the opportunity to provide your notice of motion to the clerk. And then you would talk, that notice of motion would just be mentioned at the agenda or during this tonight's meeting, and then you talk about it the following meeting. So at this meeting, you don't have a chance to put a notice of motion because it's already coming past. That notice of motion is always on the Wednesday before the agenda comes out.
So Dwayne, if I wanted to put a notice of motion on and I said, I want to build the fire hall at the edge of Blythe, would it be that simple, or is it a notice of motion where you're actually putting a motion together that they would have to get a first and seconder to talk about it, or is this notice of motion just something you talk about?
So just in terms of notice of motion, basically is a motion that says, that staff be directed to prepare a report regarding X, right? So it would go on the agenda as a member of council would like to discuss that motion at the subsequent council meeting, right? So you put notice of motion, you're advising council in advance that I would like to discuss a report to be prepared on project or item X. And then at the next meeting, that's when you would have a mover and a seconder, and you'd have the discussion around the motion.
Okay.
And then you take the vote on it.
Yeah, because I wasn't really clear on that either. So between you and Trevor, I think we figured that one out. Thank you very kindly. Okay, the bylaws are next. But,
Do you want to just add as amended?
oh, okay. Bylaw number 32-2019. A bylaw to adopt terms of reference for the Housing Dam Committee as amended. The bylaw number 32-2019 being a bylaw to adopt terms of reference for the Housing Dam Committee be introduced and read a first, second, third, and final time. Signed by the Reeve and clerk and engrossed in the bylaw books. Do I have a mover? Trevor, seconder. Rick, all in favor? Carries. We already did number 11.2, so that's the only one for tonight, right? We finished that one off earlier, yeah. Announcements. The next economic development meeting will be held on Monday, April the 8th, 2019 at 8 a.m. in the Blythe Community Center meeting room. The next regular council meeting will be held Monday, April 15th, 2019 at 6 p.m. in the North Huron Council Chambers. The next Police Services Board meeting will be held on Tuesday, April 16th, 2019 at 7 p.m. in the North Huron Council Chambers. Other business is Michaela Ainsley Day. And Dwayne, did you want to talk to that one? Or we already did. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So we received, I received an email from the Lions, the youth committee representative of the Lions, basically advising us that the Lions is planning an event from, I believe it's 3 to 5 on April the 14th, whereby the community can come together and celebrate Michaela's accomplishments. They're intending to invite Ben Lobb MP and Lisa Thompson MPP. So they have not yet got confirmation whether or not they'll be attending or not. However, they have expressed an invitation, extended invitation for as you recall at the previous council meeting, there was discussion about, as a municipality, having Michaela come to a council meeting and presenting her with a certificate and things of that nature to recognize her accomplishment. We were going to do that at the April 15th council meeting. This has now been organized for April the 14th, and I've been discussing with the Reeve in terms of attending on the 14th and doing that presentation then in that afternoon, opposed to inviting Michaela to come to the April 15th council meeting. So if council's in agreement, then Reeve Bailey, in terms of would attend that, and all of council would be invited as well to celebrate her accomplishments in the afternoon. So if council's agreeable to that, then we will proceed on that basis.
Great. Thank you very much, Lee. Do we have a closed session meeting tonight? Okay, we have a closed session meeting tonight, so the township, that the council of the Township of North Huron hereby proceed at 7:40 PM into an in-camera, close to the public to discuss the following. 2K position plan, procedure, criteria or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality of the local board, the Hater Hockey. Do I have a mover? Trevor, do I have a seconder? Paul, all in favor? Everybody's in favor.